Hey guys, it's me. I'm outside the gym. I'm about to go in and exercise for a little bit before going back home and going to work. But I made my HEX character last night really fast when I got home because I realized I hadn't made him yet. But I wanted to just share really briefly, how I did that. So I come up with this guy, Joe Decker, one half of an investigative team, whose other half apparently is doing something else. Hey, Jim. So anyhow, I figure out, first thing I want to do is go, figure out who the hell this guy is. So I go give him a motivation of truth. He's a PI. And I give him a flaw of skeptic, which I think might be kind of interesting. So this guy is definitely a truth seeker. I think he's kind of a bit of a jerk as well. So the next thing, really, it's useful to do in Ubiquity, I found, is to look through the talents list, because you want to figure out, what kind of guy is this, or person is this, and then you can kind of start to build things around that, see if you need to adjust ability score, or your attribute scores and whatnot. So what popped out at me was keen sense, and I decided to give him hearing, which is a bit odd as opposed to sight, but that gives you a +4 perception with things that involve hearing. So I think that might be kind of interesting. And here's this PI that just has a really acute hearing. So any perception tests, I get +4, dice for hearing, and also quick reflexes, which gives you +2 to initiative. So this guy is just really, and I think maybe that's probably because of his hearing. Maybe he just hears stuff a little bit better than the other people. So those are his two talents. Boom. Now I kind of know what this guy is like. At that point, I decide, I'm free to mess with the attributes now because I didn't take any talents that required a certain attribute range or what have you. So I knew I wanted the guy to be smart, so I gave him intelligence of 3. I gave him willpower of 3 because I wanted him to be, strong-willed, kind of pushing his way towards the truth. And I figured I'd give him a dexterity of 3 because, once again, it just kind of goes with the vibe of him just having these really quick reflexes and stuff. And also, it's kind of metagamey. You want to have some kind of physical stat that's good. So body, strength, and charisma are all 2. They're all average. I take a look at the list on page 8 of the Secrets of the Surface World of HEX, which is one of the other core books. And so that tells you that the default for 1936 is you get 5 0-level skills for free. So I have athletics, brawl, drive, empathy, and stealth all at 0 as opposed to unskilled. So I don't take a -2 die penalty from those skills for being unskilled. They're just 0. So it's 0 plus the attribute. But I've decided I'm not going to leave those alone. I'm going to improve those a little bit. The neat thing of starting at 0 level as opposed to unskilled is it only costs you half a point at character generation to raise from 0 level to rank 1 as opposed to a full point. And when you have 15 points to spread around, that comes in handy. So, what did I do? I looked around. The first thing I wanted to do is give this guy, I wanted to have him be pretty good with a pistol. So, first thing I did was I put 2 dice into firearms. He has a dex of 3, so now he has 5 dice in firearms. And then, for another half a point, I bought pistols. So, he has a specialty in pistols. So, when he's using a pistol, he uses 6 dice. Because that's the way those specializations work. Unless the skill says specialized with a little asterisk next to it. In that case, you could only, something like academics, you have to say, I'm taking, 5 dice in academics, archaeology, But all these other skills, all those little specializations at the end, those are things you just buy for half a point each at character generation. Later on, they cost more. But anyhow, let's see. Third thing I did was investigation. I wanted that to be this guy's gig. So I put 4 dice in investigation with an intelligence of 3 as a 7-die pool. And once again, another half point, crimes. So I wrestled between that and enigmas, but I figured crimes is more apropos for a private investigator. So he has 8 dice when investigating crimes. Let's see, what else did I do? Athletics, he already started out with 0. I put another 1.5 points into athletics to raise it up to 4. Because with his strength of 2, it's two ranks plus his strength, so it's 4 dice in athletics. Because it works so well in many, many situations, I threw a die into acrobatics. He has a dex of 3, so it wasn't that hard for me to get him up to a 4 in acrobatics, which is cool because a lot of times you can synergize acrobatics and athletics if you can narrate how you're doing both at the same time. And that gives you extra couple dice when you're doing something physical. And I figured this is pulp. This is Indiana Jones, so we might as well have this guy being able to do something physical. Let's see. So that's what I did there. And stealth. I spent another half a point to have a full rank in stealth as opposed to 0 level. So because of his dex of 3, he's got 4 dice in stealth. Next thing I did was with empathy. I figured I'd spend 2.5 points there. And 1.5 point to raise it from 0 level to 1, and then by 2 more dice, so give him a rank of 3 in empathy with his intelligence of 3. That adds up to 6 dice. Not so shabby. Because, private investigator made sense. Let's see, drive. I put another 0.5 point into drive to raise it from 0 level to 1. Dex of 3. Now he has 4 dice now. 4 dice are where things get really interesting, or you start to be able to synergize with other skills and stuff. So having 4 dice in something is pretty cool. I made Joe kind of wide with a couple of bumps in his skills. Brawl. Let's see. What did I do with Brawl? I actually put 1.5 dice in Brawl because he's only got a strength of 2. So I wanted to get him up to 4 dice. So that's what I did there. And then finally, I believe the last thing I did, because I only had 0.5 point left, was I put 1.5 point into melee to give him a 0 level skill in melee. So Joe's good with a pistol. He's okay with his fists. And he picks up a club. Well, he's not completely stupid. He doesn't take the -2 die penalty, but he's just not as good at that as he is at fisticuffs. And that's the guy. That's how I spent my points. If you'll notice, because you start out with those 5-0. Well, that my alarm interrupted the broadcast. If you start with those 5-0 level skills, it's almost like you have 17.5 points, but 2.5 of them, those 5-0 level skills, are just kind of frozen in place. But it's really cool because you can add upon those for a little bit cheaper. But if you don't, if you're playing some other kind of character that doesn't really do that sort of stuff, say I was playing a really academic character, I might not have, somebody who just had his head in the book the whole time, I might not have raised things like empathy or stealth or brawl or athletics, because that might have been something he just hadn't been doing. For Joe Decker, I thought that was kind of appropriate. But you'll notice I didn't give him skills like streetwise or conning or whatnot. And I figured partly that's because that's what his partner was really good at, and partly because I just wasn't, Joe has no interest in associating with the underworld. Kind of like, oh gosh, it is Friday. Is it Friday now? With the guy from Get Smart. Not Get Smart. The other Dragnet. There you go. Joe's just kind of a dick. Doesn't want to talk to the criminals. Just figure out what they did wrong. All right, that's it. It's taking too long. I'm going to the gym.